I'm with Tim Hood of Yoosk, and we first talked about 18 months ago about Yoosk, which is now very fully developed with investors. Give me an update on Yoosk first of all, and then we'll talk more about the need for innovation in this field.
Right, sure. Thanks, David. It's great to see you again as well. We've come a long way in 18 months in both developing the platform. It's still not finished, and we've still got another big development round going on at the moment. But we've, I think, proven the business model, which is to get large government organisations, ministries, local authorities to start their own Yoosk channel, which has dedicated conversations with public figures from their specific organisation. And all that is aggregated onto Yoosk.com, which is actually filling up with a lot of very interesting content, interviews from the public and so on.
And the essence is still the same of do a well-recorded interview with questions of a major figure, wherever it is, and then people continue to participate in asking questions, getting answers.
Well, we're aiming for the best content we can get, but most of all, we're aiming for real, genuine, authentic conversations. So I don't want to say that it's only video. It's absolutely not only video. We'll take text answers, and we'll make it as easy as possible for any public figure to actually submit their answers. If they just want to email us the answers, that's fine. In theory, a public figure can appear on Yoosk without touching the keyboard.
But we're also talking about what's needed to get more innovation in this field. It strikes me that we've now got, half a dozen different tools on show. There are scores more out there. But how do they get in front of the councils? And how do the councils, who are baffled by the possibilities, actually choose what to use?
Well, I was saying to somebody earlier that 2 years ago, more or less to the day, I left my job in the public sector. And one of the reasons I left was the difficulty that I was having internally in driving forward innovation. And now 2 years later, here I am selling to the public sector and trying to convince them of the value of my innovation. So it's the same feelings there. I've got a lot of sympathy with everybody in the public sector I deal with. They're under-resourced, and they face a very, very complex kind of decision tree with multiple stakeholders when they're trying to introduce an innovation. Sometimes it's practically impossible to get these stakeholders together, specifically during the summer when some are on holiday. And this really, for small innovators such as Yoosk and lots of other people in the room here, makes it really, really difficult. Because we can't wait 6 months. We need to get in front of the right people a little bit quicker than that.
So what would you like to see maybe at regional events to bring together the public sector organisations and people that can offer them some solutions?
Well, it'd be great to get everybody in the hierarchy together in one room from one organisation or several organisations and to see them publicly talk about the difficulties that they have in driving forward innovation. You get some very young junior middle managers who are incredibly enthusiastic and through no fault of anybody's really, just the culture and the system, they're thwarted in innovating. And likewise, top-down innovation sometimes blocked by people at the bottom who just are tired and they don't have the time and resources to really look at the innovations that their leaders are trying to introduce, and then they fail. So there are all kinds of blocks within that hierarchy.
So we need some new style events here. We've over the last year or two, we've had more and more unconferences at which people turn up and have very creative sessions they more or less structure for themselves on the day, but you don't necessarily get all the right people there.
Yeah, that's true. Although there's a huge improvement on the old traditional conferences. The events that people like yourself are involved in, people like Dave Briggs and Dominic who organise this. They're really. I think it's one of the most valuable new products actually in public services. But yeah, it doesn't always quite work, and I think that's because you get a mixture of different people in the hierarchy at different events. So the old style conferences, you get the very senior directors and heads of department there, but you don't get necessarily their juniors. And then at the bar camps, you tend to get the more sort of the younger go-ahead members at the bottom of the hierarchy, but they never come together in the same room with the suppliers to really talk through the issues about how suppliers can help them.
And from your experience, do you think the various suppliers would be prepared to be in the same room, sharing ideas? Obviously, it happens at trade fairs and so forth, but can we be a bit more creative than that together?
Yeah, I think so. Social media is all about dialogue, and that's what's really needed. People think that private companies especially are just concerned with profit. I mean, it's clearly not true. People risk their livelihoods to try and innovate for the public good. There's no shame in wanting to make some money out of it, and there's no shame in the decision makers and people in procurement actually being in the same room and talk it through collectively about how they can make the whole process take place more efficiently.